Disney's got a whole new problem on its hands. It seems Snow White, so dear, Snow White is just exactly the train wreck we predicted it would be. So they're out with a new trailer and they get a whole set of new problems, in part because of the trailer and then a whole bunch of other stuff, which we're going to get into. But I want you to see this, right? Don't forget before we watch the trailer, what Disney has been up against with Snow White. Because, the story is Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And that's kind of not so PC nowadays to have Snow White. I mean, it's snow and it's white, right? Like, that's not PC. And the Seven Dwarfs, which they apparently spent like a year and a lot of money on consultants trying to figure out how they were going to deal with the Seven Dwarfs. And the upshot was that they just decided they would cast tall people, like normally sized people, and no dwarfs. And they would make them male and they would make them female and everything would be great, except that, you know what? A lot of other people that aren't so tall didn't like that very much, as you can imagine. And then the other thing, they're dealing with is they cast a Hispanic woman, or she's at least half Hispanic, and wears that very proudly and identifies as Hispanic, and that's all great. She doesn't speak Spanish. I do. Yo hablo español. But ella no. Anyway, so they put in Rachel Zegler as Snow White. And look, I don't really care, and I can suspend disbelief on a lot of stuff. Except when it comes to Gal Gadot being the evil step queen who's jealous of Rachel Zegler's beauty. Because that one I don't get, okay? That one I really, really don't get. And tell me if you do. Because look at this trailer and tell me if this story makes any sense with Gal Gadot and Rachel Zegler. Watch.
So, whistle while you work. Whistle while you work.
Magic mirror on the wall. Who's the fairest one of all?
Okay, so it's supposed to be a whole, I don't want to interrupt it. Was it gonna, yeah, I think it was over. But, it's a whole new remake of Snow White. And Rachel Zegler, the Broadway actress, 20 some odd years old, that is playing Snow White. She's like 23 or something. She's a young girl, who, by the way, was great in West Side Story. I mean, she's got a nice voice, and, she came from High School Musical theater stuff in New Jersey, and she's very woke. We'll get to that in a second. But, she did a nice job in West Side Story. But then we got to see a little more of her, and she started to get super political. And in being so political, she has taken on this Snow White thing and admitted, she never liked Snow White, never liked the character Snow White, doesn't like the character Snow White. And so I guess it involved a little bit of acting. Her point being that, who's going to wait around for some prince to sweep you off your feet? Because, that doesn't matter, right? You should want to become president. You should want to become CEO. Like, you don't need some prince to come sweep you off your feet, you silly girl. I mean, except that if you think about it, the prince is kind of looking for a really great girl too, right? Because that's sort of how we procreate in this world. And one should, in my estimation, be seeking a relationship with someone that you will love and cherish the rest of your life. Like, that actually should be a priority. But not for Rachel Zegler. She's trying to point out, you don't need a guy. You don't need, it's a direct quote, actually. She was on the red carpet event at something in LA, and she's like, well, we'll see if the male actor even makes it through, because, this is a new Snow White, baby. Anyway, that's neither here nor there, other than, we can go back to, I'm sorry, but the evil step queen is just one good looking woman. And so this whole Rachel Zegler versus Gal Gadot thing doesn't really make any sense. And you wonder what the tension was on the set, right? I think there's a little tension there. Yeah, I mean, I just get that feeling because I'm looking at some of Rachel's tweets. This little Broadway actress tweets out, I love you all so much. Thank you for all the love. For 120 million views on our trailer in just 24 hours. The trailer you guys just saw. Sorry, you contributed to that, I guess. What a whirlwind. I am in the thick of rehearsals for Romeo and Juliet. Woohoo! So I'm going to get out of here. Bye for now. And then she comes back because whoopsie daisy, she forgot. And always remember, free Palestine. Because you got to work that one in there, right? You got to work that. So was that a little bit of a dig? I mean, on the evil step queen, the Gal Gadot, the real prima donna of the actual film? Like, could that have been just a little bit of a shot at her? You wonder, because don't forget, Gal Gadot is from Israel. And she's been outspoken in her support of Israel. And because she's from Israel now, look at what's going on. This is being reported in the Jerusalem Times. This is the headline. Snow White film faces anti-Israel boycott, calls targeting Gal Gadot. Activists slamming new Disney film for casting Israeli actress, while her co-star, Rachel Zegler, talks about free Palestine, as I just said, alongside the trailer. So what the heck is that about? Right? Like a little tension on the set, a little bit of a cat fight going on behind the scenes. Rachel Zegler not liking the politics of Gal Gadot. Or maybe it's not even that. Maybe actually Rachel is the discriminatory one because she doesn't like that Gal Gadot is from Israel. Oh, this is a narrative that's not going to fly anymore. Did you see what just happened to the Columbia University president? My alma mater, by the way. I used to be proud of that. Can't say that much anymore. Disgusting, the behavior that we saw on campus. Absolutely disgusting throughout the entire year. And then it was continuing on through the summer. I have a friend who's starting medical school there and who's worried. She's like, oh my gosh, is this still going to be going on? Because like, I actually need to go to school. And it's kind of a big deal, right? To go to their school. Well, the woman who was the first woman, originally born in Egypt, went to London, I believe, when she was about 5, and she was raised like internationally, sort of here in London, went to London School of Economics. I was psyched. I was like, oh, great, they get a woman, they get an economist. She was a train wreck. She was a disaster. She's out. So Claudine Gay at Harvard, now this woman at Columbia, and it's in part, well, there's a variety of things going on, but the tipping point was just what we're seeing even within the Rachel Zegler, Gal Gadot scandal. Disney's got a problem. I mean, Disney has, how are you going to get your way around this one? They want to have their cake and eat it too. And they think they can be all things to all people. But most importantly, we got to be things to these minority communities of transgenders and this, that, and the other. And the American public's like, wait a second, I don't want it. Like, I don't need it. I don't need to see your Snow White. Ben Shapiro and Brett Cooper, they just made a Snow White. I'll go see that one from Daily Wire. Thank you very much. Like, you don't need Disney's entertainment right about now, not if they're going to force feed you something that you don't want to see. And they just don't seem to quite realize that when you look at that company. And we've talked about the valuations, and Don Bacca, who's one of our viewers here, he hates Disney. I don't know if you really hate it, but you hate it as an investment. Maybe when it gets down to the 80s, Don, right? You'll take a look. But the point being, like, as an investor, this is a stock that was up around 200. It's been just sliced in half. There was an activist investor, Nelson Peltz, who tried to kind of save him, give him an opportunity to rework things, not keep depending on sequels, for goodness sakes. You can't just remake everything to death. You got to actually have some new creative content and some content that people actually want to see. And for whatever reason, the woke creative geniuses at Disney just can't get this message through their heads. And they keep coming up with sequels, and bad ones at that. And so the company is now increasingly relying on its experiences division. Rob Horton, my colleague at 76 Research, big plug for Rob because he's brilliant, great stock picker. I've known him a long time. Great guy. And he and I have teamed up for 76research.com. And we have a lot of great ideas for you. And I encourage you very much to go and subscribe to the 76 report, to get the model portfolios. There's 3 of them on there. If you get all of them, You get the 76 report too. You become what we call part of our founders club. And so that's the best value. I'm just going to throw that out there for all you investing folks that like to invest. The best value is the founders club. So Rob wrote about Disney, and you get the whole archive so you can see everything. And fortunately, we're beating the market. Thank you very much. Which is not an easy thing to do, incidentally, like, overall, but he's brilliant and I'm not so shabby myself, right? So anyway, we've done pretty well and I'm excited about them. Super proud. We've written on Disney before, and what we've discovered is that is a company that really, its entertainment division is just a mess. It's relying on its park and theme experiences and its cruise line and all of these other revenue streams. And that's great. But at some point, like, what are you going to do? We're going to spin off the film division? I mean, I know Bob Iger wants to sell ABC News. Thank you very much. And all the news stuff, even ESPN, right? Because this is the future. Do you know, I just went, I got to get this picture for you. Maybe I'll post it on Instagram, my Instagram account. Go check it out. Go check 76 Research out too. But I just went, my son dragged me into the Apple store to see the Apple Vision Pro. And I'm like, I actually had to go because one of the other kids, her computer had broken. And I had to use my Apple Care and get the whole thing fixed. But anyway, we went in, we saw this Apple Vision Pro, and other than a little bit of vertigo that I had after seeing all this, because you get like this 360 view, it was incredible. I mean, you could actually, as this pans out and as we get new variants in the image quality, you could be right here with me in the studio if you'd like to, because that's where this is heading. You can go to a sporting event and be on the front line. And this Apple Vision, but it was really amazing. It was kind of heavy on my head and it's super clunky. But this is the first version, ladies and gentlemen. And so it's part of why I'm so optimistic on tech, even though a lot of people aren't. I'm a firm believer that this is changing fast and it's going to continue to change, and you want to be there. You want to be invested. Hey, Tim Waltz, who doesn't own one stock and is proud of it. Really? I mean, I don't want to be Venezuela, okay? Thank you very much. I think we need to believe in our capitalist enterprises. But if Disney can't figure out how to shed its core businesses, its legacy businesses that are increasingly problematic for it, then I think that is going to be a challenged company, and also just ripe for more activists to come in and try to squeeze out some value, because there is value there. They just need to be able to unlock it. So another problematic time for Disney.